All right. We are live the news episode. This is June 11th, 2021. We've got me, Nick, and Robert here. Wendy will be back here momentarily, I'm sure. And we wanted to go through the news, figure out what everyone is drinking first, so we'll go a little bit slow. I've got a Two Roots Helles, enough said, to be drinking because obviously if I want to go harder, I've got the Imperial Milkshake Stout, so 12 ounces of NA beer, 16 ounces of, God forbid, I know how much. Oh, it's only 5%. Oh, this is the original Milkshake Stout. It's not the Imperial. That's why I got drunker a few nights ago, is I drank the Imperial and not the regular. Damn, that makes perfect sense now.
That would do it.
Read your labels, kiddos.
Yes.
With that, we have... There we go. Nick, what are you drinking?
I am doing something very unusual, triple fisting today. Still drinking the Two Roots Helles, my only NA beer for the night. The Dark Ale from Groundbreaker, as well as we're now getting close to wrapping up the Mellow Meridian, also from Groundbreaker.
I tell you what, so episode 260, which was released just a couple days ago, if you're listening to this live, obviously just an hour ago, that dark ale, I tell you guys, if you do not like that dark ale, I will, chug an IPA. It's so good. The beer is just so solid. Wendy, what are you drinking?
I opened up this IPA number 5.
All right.
Also from Groundbreaker. Man, that is delicious. I am definitely a fan.
And Robert, what about you?
Right now, I am still sipping on the Eastern Market Brewing's Mexican lager. Then I will go through what this one is after I finish it.
All right. Well, as always, with segment 2...
Here is Robert with the Beer News.
The news brought to you by Wolverine State Brewing Company's Massacre.
You dumbass.
Oh, dude, what the hell would you do that for?
The bourbon barrel aged Imperial Dark Lager that clocks in at 14.3%.
What year is that one?
I didn't realize I had another one of these that were this old. This was 2018.
Oh, God.
I still have another 2018 that's downstairs. So that was what it's like. Well, I'm going to just grab this one since I've got two of them.
I think I have some of those as well in my basement, and I think they're either same vintage or the year before.
I mean, at the moment...
You just chugged a 12-ounce, 15% beer.
Yes, I did. Pretty much tastes like raisins or dates. But, you know.
All right, so before we go any further with the news, you know how I like to drink Ice House whenever I had a bad day?
Yeah.
Right? Did you chug a Massacre because you had a bad day?
No. I just chugged the beer because it was the news.
I mean, you didn't have to chug that. Obviously, Jesus. All right, I'm going to go send you a brewery like 7 Ladies a Dancing or whatever and have you chug a 750.
Oh, hell.
Whoa.
Rob, I got a Facebook for you. I'll talk to you about it later.
Whoa. No.
Robert, what's going on in the news?
All right. First thing I'm going to get into was some analysis that apparently has been done. According to a new analysis led by epidemiologist. Hopefully I said that right. Epidemiologist. Thank you. I don't know why I was screwing that word up today. At the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public Health, Americans are consuming more craft beer with higher alcohol content, but are drinking less beer by volume. The study looked at beer purchased in stores between 2004 and 2014, and it's the first study to examine trends not only in the volume of beer purchased, but also the beer-specific alcohol content. They had found that in 2004, 9.6% of household beer consumed was of higher alcohol content, while in 2014, that grew to 21.6%. Meanwhile, the number of 12-ounce beers each household purchased annually decreased from 169.4 in 2004 to 150.8 in 2014. The thing I was considering was that, considering the study, which is pretty much a study just came out, but of course this covers until 2014, which obviously was some time ago. But I guess from those numbers, I'm curious what you guys think with where things are today, especially when we're in an area where we're being more health conscious. I mean, we just talked to Groundbreaker, where we have a gluten-free beer. We talked to Two Roots last week about non-alcoholic beers. Do you think the numbers in that high ABV category that they're discussing today, are they higher, lower, or are they the same? Ken, I'm start with you on that one.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I said no. You're not. I'm doing social media stuff. So Wendy, you're starting.
All right, Wendy, you're in.
So I think that's a tough call. I think that I know a lot of people who are still really into the high ABV beers. I think it depends on the situation. If I'm going to the lake for a day, I'm not going to bring all my 12% beers. But if I'm only going to have one beer for the night, I might make it worth my while.
I mean, if I'm going to the lake, why the fuck not?
Well, someone's got to get you home.
Right, which is why I'm bringing the high ABV. If somebody's going to take me home, then, I mean, why not? Why?
Well, let's look at the trends of even better on draft. Let's look at the beers we were drinking when we first started the show back in 2015, 2016 versus what we're drinking now. And we're as much as every single beer we were drinking back then were 10%, because every time we would meet up, we were bringing big beers. We weren't bringing, just your standard Rochester Mills milkshake stout or a random growler from North Center Brewing. Like, we were bringing some of the biggest beers we could find. The Brewery, double IPAs, triple IPAs, barrel-aged stouts, Prairie. Like, all these beers we were drinking back then. Me personally, because I was drinking in 2014 and I was drinking in, 2021, I have seen my alcohol intake of bigger beers go down, and I've been way more conscious of the ABVs. And I've always been conscious of ABVs when I'm on the road. Like, I go to a bar. For a while, I was literally only using Untappd to find the ABVs because they weren't posting ABVs of drafts on whatever, the menu page or on the screen or the back bar. I'm looking to see, like, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was drinking so I could properly drive without, being drunk. But when it came to even the show, and as our show kind of faded into, look at the beers when Roke first came onto our show back in the Ferndale studio versus that final episode with Roke and Dark Horse, where we were drinking their Italian ice. I was about to say Italian ice latte, but Italian, the Centani, which I actually just saw in stores, so it looks like they just rebrewed it.
Which I got the Tusi Moonshot right here.
Nice. we were seeing, like, just that brewery. They were bringing out some of their bigger beers, and now it's just like, here's a sessionable sour, here's a sessionable Goza, here's a sessionable stout. Like, I think everyone has really tuned it down. Mm-hmm. And that we're not only are we now drinking less beer ABV, but I also think we're being a lot more conscious of how much we're drinking and making the decision. So we might not be, instead of going for that 12 ounce of 18% beer or 15% Wolverine Massacre, I can't believe you chugged that. We're now going towards something a little more sessionable, like one of these Groundbreakers, like a milkshake stout, which is only 4.5%. That's what me personally I've seen, and I think we've seen it in the industry just because we've seen a big push on pills and lagers.
I will say that it was pretty much a choice between either that or going with the Dragon's Milk Triple Mash, which clocks in at 17. So I was really stuck on that, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do the Massacre.
You could have did a Groundbreaker beer. You had 3 more Groundbreaker beers.
True, but I guess for me, I still like the high ABVs. Just like when you brought up the original the Roke episode that we did, where we had Black Tuesday from the brewery, which that bottle clocked in at 20.4. I love that beer. I wish they would actually make that at that high ABV again. There was the New Holland 20th anniversary beer that was at 20%. That I wish I had more than one bottle of that stuff, because I really, really enjoy that. And those suckers are, I mean, as someone who is a whiskey and bourbon drinker, I like a beer that is going to be a sipper. Of course, with a bottle that big, it does help to have friends to go with it, because I can't tame a bottle like that by myself, but I still love to have those. Those are, for me, they are good to have. But Nick, you haven't clocked in on this one yet. What do you think?
I agree with Ken. Me personally, I'm finding myself just not going towards those big ABV beers as much as I used to. I agree. I mean, the first year of this show, we were trying to find the most outrageous high ABV beer we could think of. Miso Ornery from Griffin Club. We had that.
Yes.
It was Belgian Quad. And that's just one of many, many beers. And I think just over time, me personally, I just kind of just, it's more conscious about what we're taking, Am I able to drink multiple 10% beers anymore? No, I'm not. I'm just, it is what it is. But, at the same time, am I staying completely away from them? No, I'm not. I mean, I have one more from Wax Wings that clocks in at 10.4. I'm still drinking. I'm just definitely not at the level that I once used to. So.
Damn, we're getting old.
Yeah, we are getting old.
What about you, Wendy?
I think it has a lot to do with what Ken mentioned too, with the style preferences going to Pilsners and Lagers right now, because my favorite styles are still Belgians. The triples and the quads are always going to be like the ones that I go to first if I have a choice, if I have that option. And those are all going to be a 12% beer. So I think it depends on what people are drinking, like what they're looking for at the same time. Not necessarily the ABV, but the style of the beer is going to dictate a lot of what your percentages are going to be when it comes to that. And for the last year and a half, we haven't been doing shares. And like Rob said, it's really hard to share the big bottles, which that's usually what the higher ABVs come in. I'll be honest, I don't like to share my no rules. I'll drink that one on my own. I share that with anybody, but I mean, there's a lot of them that I still have in the cellar because I haven't been to any shares to share them with.
And that's a valid point too. Is that we've also been a year and a half of not going to bottle shares, not really seeing friends, not sharing the big beers to where we've discussed beer with other people. Like, we're not drinking those beers. I was looking at the beer list that we had from that episode, and along with the brewery, we had Blow Your Face Out, which was a 10% beer. We had Igor from Right Brain, which was an 8 or 9%er. We had there was one more. Heady Topper was in that list, which is another 8%er. And we were just the amount of beers we were drinking, the big beers of those earlier episodes. But that's what we were doing at that time. We were doing a massive bottle share with us as a collective every week. And I think that's why we kind of felt the need to always bring these big beers as opposed to just bringing beers to share. And I think that's what we've changed here as we've grown with Better on Draft, is that we're definitely, being a little bit more sessionable, even though we're all in the safety confinements of our own homes. We don't have to drive anywhere. We just have to get to our beds safely.
Just got to figure out how to get to the bedroom. That's it.
Pretty much.
I slightly off topic, I will say that the one thing that I do miss is just what Wendy said, those bottle shares. Those are the one thing, in the last 16 months that we've been doing this show. 15 months. 15 months we've been doing this show now remotely. That is the one thing I do miss, is those bottle shares and just getting together. I feel like we're almost there. I feel like we kind of are there to a degree, depending on who you talk to, but that's the one thing I definitely miss.
I think we felt it when we did the on-premise Griffin Claw / Blackgrass show. When we were all together, or the same when we did the Witch's Hat.
Witch's Hat, Blackgrass, Griffin Claw.
This show, Better on Draft, is basically 2 different shows. You got that bottle share, relaxed, fun show that a lot of people don't like because it's almost like just a recording of us meeting a brewer at a bar and just talking to them. And then you have this a little bit more professional back and forth discussion with, brewers, sales reps, etc. But in the end, I think both shows have a place in the podcasting spectrum, because I don't think anyone does the kind of shows that we do to the level that we do. And that's arrogance for sure. But in the same sense, the amount of compliments I've got and the amount of people who have recognized me, like the funniest thing ever still is I was at Holiday Market and I was waiting. This was, I had a bottle of Malo waiting for me. I had a gift for Ashley. Ashley in turn had a bottle of Malo for me to buy. So not even a gift, just for me to buy. And as I'm waiting, somebody hears my voice and is like, "Man, your voice sounds really familiar." And it was a couple, and I say, I do a local beer podcast, and they're like, "Better on Draft," and I'm like, "That's what beer is." But I think, the way that our show has changed is the same way those bottle shares and those beer drinkings have changed. Be it COVID and everyone goes back to big bombers now that everyone is free to hang out and you have all these beers that's in your cellar that you didn't drink during COVID that you kept buying. Who knows? But for me, I think I'm no matter what going to stay low ABV, stay sessionable. And as much as we say every beer is a session beer if you try hard enough, I'm going to be sticking to my odd side seltzers and my English milds and my low ABV beers now.
There you go. All right. So we'll go through, I think I've got 2 more that I want to go through. This one first, from the world of Now You've Seen It All, which I don't think we have. There's a Finland-based brewery called Ant Brew that stepped into that whole what the fuck game into making a new beer called Wasted Potential Imperial Stout. Now, the brewery, which does its best to cut down on food waste and the like, has made this beer using goose droppings. And they said, quote, "The poop is used in a food-safe way to smoke malt to create a unique stout beer, and that the goose droppings are gathered from local parks where geese are causing a messy problem. And now the local parks get cleaner, and the special edition summer beverages are perfect for a picnic in the park. A true 2 birds with 1 stone type of solution." I did not expect any type of idiom from the Finnish with going with that. But, not necessarily to go with this beer, but there's been a lot of different things. We've gone from whale vomit to pepper spray to fried chicken to dollar bills, which always and leftover pizza. Shout out to Evil Twin and the big ass money stout. To even the craziness of, I think it was in Sweden, using vaginal lactic acid in a beer. What crazy ass ingredient do you guys think is the next thing that someone is going to use that's going to show up in the news?
Now, we don't use our Twitter too often, but I was on the Twitter today, The Twitter, not just any
Twitter. Not Twitter.
Now, if you don't follow us on Untapped, it's at Bod Podcast. Of course, all of our check-ins go to our Twitter, which is Better on Draft. And we were having a thread with Eric Hild, who is the senior lead brewer over at Toppling Goliath, former guest of the show. And it wound up, we went into a tangent of beers to make, and Toppling Goliath's Twitter was trolling Eric, making a joke and calling it Tough Love, and I responded, it's the name for their next triple dry hopped New England milkshake IPA with lactose, cayenne pepper, and cicadas. Their response to me was, don't forget the hot dogs and ketchup. So that's my next beer, is going to be a triple dry hopped New England milkshake IPA with lactose, cayenne pepper, cicadas, hot dogs, and ketchup. And it's going to be called Tough Love.
What is it? What were we saying? This is the cicadas are coming out the first time in like 17 years or some crap like that.
Yep.
I mean, you might as well use them while they're out, right?
Yeah. Make them into a food source.
Who gets the lucky privilege of having the job to pick up Goose shit for beer?
Shit, I don't know.
I'm just thinking about
how much does it cost to be someone who picks up Goose shit for beer? How much do you pay that person?
Hey, I mean that's just $15 an hour. You want to pick up Goose shit?
Do they have $15 minimum wage in Finland?
I don't
sure,
know.
It's more than that over there.
It's probably more than that.
We're not going to get political about our minimum.
No,
we won't do that at all.
I don't know. I don't even know if I really, really want that job.
Just remember, Nick, everyone's got a price.
Okay, Ted.
To pick up Goose shit.
Everybody's got a price.
Love that. What a gimmick.
We'll go around, but for me, I'm still waiting. Honest to God, I'm still waiting for the caffeinated beer.
Yeah, I could see
the Drew Carey. Was it Buzzed or whatever was the beer from the show? I'm still waiting. I'm sure there's some legal reasons why you can't have an alcoholic THC beer. You probably cannot have a true alcoholic caffeinated beer that wasn't like an FMB like Four Loko. But that's what I'm waiting for. Is I'm waiting for my caffeinated stout to give me an upper and a downer at the same time. What about you, Wendy? What do you want to see in a beer?
Oh, I don't want to see any of that crap in a beer.
Are we talking hot dogs, ketchup, and Goose shit, or caffeine too?
No. Well, I don't feel like beer needs caffeine, but
it doesn't.
I don't want to see hot dogs or ketchup or cicadas or bugs of any kind. I'm also not a fan of bacon in beer.
Not a big Magnalista porter.
I think that bacon makes most everything better. I used to say bacon makes everything better, and then I had bacon vodka.
Oh, that was so bad. I remember having
bacon vodka.
And I'm like, nope. So
that was
a little bit of a flavor, like in the hipster brunch. It's got a little tiny smoked flavor to it, but it's not overpowering. That I don't mind, but meat in beer is not my thing.
Bacon bandages.
Locally, I know Ugly Dog makes a bacon vodka, but I remember the vodka called Bacon, Bakon, and I remember having that and never wanting to live again.
Damn.
Wow,
I had the opportunity to judge a bacon festival, and I had to judge like 4 different categories, like a dessert, a meal, an appetizer. And they actually had like people walking around with trays of different styles of bacon. It was the most amazing day ever. The week following was not so great because I sure did not feel good at all. But they had the bacon vodka. They didn't have any in Michigan at the time, and we had to bring it in from another state. And I'm like, that sealed it right there, that bacon does not belong in alcohol.
No bacon. All right. No bacon. I can't. I'm trying to think of something that I'm actually just kind of looking around the room in here and just like looking at things from Pounce cat treats to wasabi peas. And I don't think I would want either of those in a beer. I love my wasabi peas as they are. I don't want to be violated with a brew. So there is that. All right. Let's go to this last one here and just get this one done. So I was on the Facebook groups earlier today, and I was curious about your opinion on this, as I was thinking that this not only would relate to us, but of course any other state. So there was this post on one of the Michigan groups about a new beer store that was going to open up towards the Upper Peninsula. For those of us here in Michigan, it's supposed to be, I believe, in Grayling, that is planning on selling imported and out-of-state beers, ciders, and wines. What's really interesting about it is what's pretty much left out, which appears as though there will be absolutely no Michigan beers in the store. Now, naturally, as with almost all of the Michigan beer groups, the post got its fair amount of dragging. I did see some particular certain reps from a certain brewery that's in an area west of Grand Rapids that rhymes with Todd-bide, that was up there on posting about that, because they were very curious about the fact that there were no Michigan beers. But I was curious what in your opinion, with how local Michigan beer drinkers can be about the beer that we have in the state, and pretty much how we kind of drag some out-of-state breweries out of Michigan because of how bad they do here. Is it taboo to open a beer store in a state and not have any local beer to sell or want to sell? Ken looks like annoyed.
I was annoyed because it took me way too long to figure out what rhymes with Todd-bide. That's what I was more annoyed about. I mean, if the business is there, then go for it. If you can make, I mean, remember why Merchants succeeded so well is because they had non-Michigan beer there, and people wanted non-Michigan beer. That was also 250 breweries ago in the state of Michigan. But if you're looking for beer, like Michigan beers, there's plenty of places for you to get to Michigan beers. But if you're looking for someone that's going to be an import specialist, if they're going to be an import specialist of Belgian beers and German beers, English, French, African, like kind of like how Merchants was. Fuck yeah, I want that kind of store, because I'm not going to get that at a local beer store.
Yeah, now there was a comment that was in there that was saying that there's at least like one or two stores that are in the area that definitely have Michigan beer. So it's not that it's something that is, completely out of the ordinary for the area, because, they've got the other stores. But there was a lot of people who were getting onto that post that was, seemingly bothered by the fact that this store was, there was a picture of just like a shitload of Dogfish Head 120 minute, but there were no Michigan beers in there, in the pictures at least, at all. So I don't know. It just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that's what sells, and if the other stores don't carry as much of the out of state or, imported beers as they are going to do, then I figured that they definitely helped more than they hurt. At least in my thought. Nick, what are your thoughts?
It's kind of crazy if you're not going to sell local beer in the local store. It's kind of hard to do. Especially, imagine if it was in Michigan. Imagine Michigan. How many breweries are we up to? 400?
387 with Dog and Pony opening today.
Yes.
So we're pushing 400. You mean to tell me you can get that many breweries from outside, not that many, from outside the state of Michigan into your store, or even half of that?
Well, let's look at what
I think that's just really difficult to do. And not to mention, people are loyal when it comes to Michigan beer. They're gonna go Robert's favorite, Charlotte Street.
Well, you got to remember, we're at Grayling right now. We're not in Metro Detroit. We're not in Grand Rapids. We're not in Kalamazoo. We're in Grayling. All right,
so
you've got 3 breweries local, and after that, you got to get either north to Gaylord. You got to get south to Clare, so south of Roscommon Forest. You got to get southeast to West Branch, or you got to get all the way to Alpena, which
Traverse
is like
City.
Traverse City. If you're going,
Traverse City, and okay, all right.
Like that is a craft beer desert regarding local craft beer. So they're not going to go to a brewery just as easy as we are. Like it takes me 5 minutes and I can choose between 4 different breweries. 5 minutes.
Sure. But the thing is, if you like craft beer and you live in a little town like Grayling, you're going to know what your staples are. You're going to know the shorts. You're going to know Charlotte Street.
I'm going to get all that shit from Walmart, though.
Okay, well, do you support? All right, so then, it becomes a question: do you support the Walmart or do you support the local business?
Well, I guess here's the thing. If I'm in that area, and as you're saying, if I'm a fan of craft beer and I am in Grayling, my best option for me is to move. Wendy, what are your thoughts on? I want to leave you last of this one because I guess I'm curious of your thoughts and just what do you think in terms of this?
So my opinion is, if they can make a business that only sells imported beer work in the area that they're in, that's fantastic. It's actually kind of amazing. To me, it opens up more shelf space for the Michigan beer at the stores that are selling local beer. So why don't we look at it that way? Because there's a lot of local beer that I can't get in my area. I would love for that shelf space that is the imported beers to open up and let my local stuff come in so that I don't have to drive across the street to get it.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's days when I spend just as much time in the imported aisle as I do in the Michigan aisle, because I like beer from everywhere, Mm-hmm. So I think that it's good to give people options. People don't always want what's around the corner.
See, and I forgot, and Ken brought that up with merchants and kind of rest in peace with merchants, because I was not even thinking about them and how they would have the Michigan beer, but then they would have the aisles where everything was separated by country. Mm-hmm. And you could have your Belgium, your Ethiopia, your Germany, and you had all those different imported beers that was there. And while I did not buy a whole lot of them, it was really cool to see that stuff on the shelves and to see it's like all these different beers that are coming from all these different countries and continents that I could even have a chance to enjoy. So I kind of feel like, just kind of hearing that a place like this, I feel like it's got its niche. It's just it's kind of like, just though with that is that with how Michigan loyal that a lot of the people here are in the state, that it's very difficult, I think, to be able to advertise that you're putting a store out this like that, and then essentially saying, not purposely doing it, but throwing out the middle finger to Michigan beer and saying we're not selling it here.
Yeah, and but how many stores are you going to drive by that say we sell Michigan beer, we sell Michigan beer, we sell Michigan beer? For me, what market share of imported beer got less and less and less as Michigan beer and U.S. craft beer grew? Like, we don't have a really good import store that I know of in Michigan. Sans maybe 8 Degrees, and that's very limited to what they're selling, and you kind of have to know what you're looking for to even know what you're trying to get. Like, it wasn't as nice and easy as Merchants was.
Right.
Import beer was hard to find. You could get Michigan beer anywhere, but if you're looking for non-Michigan beer, if I knew, hey, I know this place carries non-Michigan beer, I'm going to go there. But they also have to fight with the fact that they're not getting all the Michigan brands in the first place because they're not in Tri-County. They're not in the territory where they have a lot of distributors. So they only have a certain amount of distributors. So maybe, trying to fight against those bigger stores over there, Meijer, Walmart, Kroger, whatever else that might sell craft beer, why fight them when you can make your own market for people to come? And now you have a place where if you're going up to the UP or you're going up to Traverse City or something like that, oh, hey, if I stop in Grayling, there's this great import shop right off of 75 that I can go to.
Right.
I think if they know they have the market up there, more power to them. I think this is, mind you, assuming they did the right knowledge, this is an amazing decision for them, and I think they're going to succeed not selling Michigan beer. My opinion. Ask me a year later.
We'll see where they are in a year.
I mean, you're talking to the guy who said we were going to lose half our breweries by the end of this year, and so far we are wrong.
Right. Well,
I'm going to rephrase that I am wrong. You guys weren't wrong. I am wrong. That's
I thought it wasn't going to make any money on GameStop, but hey.
Oh, man. You don't want to know how much money I'm down in crypto right now.
Oof.
That's going to do it. Better on Draft Podcast. The news, June 11th, 2021. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.